Welcome back, Automotive Inc. Everybody, we just wrapped up another weekend of towing, and this time I think we finally put about the max I'm probably ever going to get on this truck with the new trailer, which runs about 15.5 unloaded. Water, generators, dogs, pup, bacon and eggs and bagels, and the kitchen sink and everything. People ran across the gas scale. We're running about 19,000 pounds. How was the experience with the Godzilla? Now, this run was straight across the flatness. So nothing hilly, nothing crazy. One little small highway pass, if you will. And the truck did excellent. And interesting enough, I don't get a lot of people that come up and compliment on the truck. The trucks are a dime a dozen anymore. But I did have an opportunity to run into a cat who backed up his probably, I think, he didn't tell me the year, probably about a 15-16 Ram Tradesman Cummins long bed 3/4 ton. And he had just experienced a blown turbo. And he said he hadn't fixed it yet, but he anticipated the cost to be around $5,000 or $6,000, which probably about right, depending on what kind of turbo you go with, labor, etc., and so forth. So he complimented on the truck and wanted to know, because obviously he saw the 7.3 Godzilla badging on the side, and he basically said that this would be his last diesel. And so his experience with that, he said he traditionally loves his Cummins, but he goes, this is the second Cummins that right about 100 plus he starts having some issues, especially with all the DEF and EGR stuff. So something I've been balking about since I decided to go gas after having diesels for about 20 years. So him and I talked about it, and he said, I said, well, would you buy a 6.4 Hemi because you love Ram? Well, he said his brother had one and let him tow his 40-foot toy hauler. Now, his 40-foot toy hauler is, he said, close to 17.5 empty. Wow, that is a beast, because if you get a 3/4 ton 2024 Ram with the max set up for everything towing, the max tow on that is, I think, 17.7. Then, if you go 1 ton, you can go 18.2. So, the minute he puts anything in there, that's going to be a lot. Again, a little bit excessive for that. But he had an opportunity to tow with his brother's truck, and he said he was very underwhelmed with that experience. So, it's good to hear from other people with that much weight. Then again, that is over the max weight in a 3/4 ton Ram. So, take that for what it's worth. Then I told him, I said, well, just take a look inside the backseat of your crew cab Ram and then look inside the cab of the Ford. And he looked in there and he could see that there's tons more room. So he said that he had an F-350 Power Stroke at one point back in the 7.3 era. Loved that truck, but he said it just wasn't big enough to tow what he towed, so that's why he upgraded eventually. Ended at where he's at with the trailer size he's at. So I told him my experience. He loves the Tremor. He actually liked the look. So first real compliment in person, not viewers, not watchers. I appreciate all those that did compliment on the channel of Loki. But this is the first just normal bystander that walked up and wanted to shoot the breeze about the truck specifically. Now, that is quite unique. I gave him my opinion. I also talked to him about the Chevy, because he wasn't even really aware that Chevy had a big gas. And so he said that this version would probably be his next truck, and he wanted to know if I would recommend F-350 or F-250. I said, well, if you get the F-250, the payload package, I think you're fine. But with his weight, I said I'd probably encourage you to go F-350 with the 430 based on my experiences. So here we go. Talking about the last little trip we just ran on. Like I said, right now, taking my trailer back out of storage, so over 386 combined miles. We got 8.8 miles to the gallon, so fuel economy is still right around where it was. And just so you can see, there is where it is. You can see my temps. The external temperature is not that hot today. It's about 70 degrees, so nothing crazy there. But overall, the truck did excellent. Running across flat lands with the 430 in this. So I'm going to go back and actually recant what I said, saying run with a 373. Now, I probably wouldn't do a Tremor, because the Tremor sits a little high for just about any fifth wheel, but this fifth wheel does sit a little bit better on there. And then it does have the King Air hitch on it, which definitely helped with ride quality. And if you guys watch that run across the Rockies I just posted, then I think you'll kind of see that the truck really has nothing else to prove. Out of the 6,000 miles currently on the truck, or almost 6,000, probably about 45 to 5 of that was just strictly towing. You guys know we did 18,000, we did 14, we did 14.5, and now being the max of what this truck really can do up there, it still did really well. Matter of fact, I was at an on-ramp right next to a Power Stroke, a little bit smaller trailer, but it was an F-350 Power Stroke. Getting on this on-ramp, it wasn't inclined. I just leaned into the throttle and blew his doors off. So again, maybe he wasn't necessarily, I wasn't racing him by any means, but he was long gone in the dust. Now, at the end of the day, people will say, well, you have a 7.3, you're going to say it's better than any diesel out there. I think these gassers have proven themselves, and I hope and I feel that Ford's probably worked through their engine failure issues, and then they'll just have their normal issues as they arise. So far, I've only had a handful of issues. You can check out those videos on the channel. Before we get too much further, if you guys wouldn't mind smashing the subscribe button, it's either in that lower left or lower right hand corner. At the end of the video, hit me with a like and the notification bell so you know when I post new content. We do a lot of gasser testing on the channel. As you can see, there is my heads-up display. I love this feature. It's really awesome. You can't tell probably, but it runs down there and tells you what gear you're in, your tack and everything like that, speed limit, your safety sense and everything like that. I also really enjoy the camera views, and I have said that the Ford doesn't have as good as clarity as the Chevy, but it does have enough clarity that you can actually see pretty well. There is a full bed view area. You want to check and make sure your cabinet didn't rattle open. You see, check your landing gear. There's that view. You want to zoom in a little bit more, you can definitely see that on the hitch view. And then one of my favorite views is this trailer view, side view. Now, if you were to turn on your blinker, it's going to do the specific side over this, but if you wanted to see if your trailer is dog tracking, you can actually see your two front tires. I love that view. And then down here is the box for the auxiliary cameras. Now, if you want, you can hold your bed camera view up there 24/7. And all of these are checkable while driving as long as you do it safely, but you can get a good view. The trailer specific navigation is really good, and it's just a really cool setup when you set your trailers up. You set them up however you want, name them how you want, and the truck remembers each trailer. So when I go back and plug it in, how it does it, voodoo magic, I have no idea how it notices that 7-pin, but it does. And it brings back your average fuel economy for your last trip, unless you resetted it. It brings back everything like that. Now, when it comes to overall drivability, I mean, this thing pulled that load at 75. I don't typically tow at 75 because the tires get hot on these trailers. Some of them are not made as good as others. I just put new tires on this. So I typically tow 70 in a 75, 65 into 65, but 70s is usually about my max. And coming up over the mountain the other day, I never even got to anywhere near red line. So I think it's really, like I said, I'm going to take back what I said about the 430. I think you go, if you don't need the off-roadness or this look of the Tremor, I think it behooves you to get that little bit lower bed height for your trailer so you don't drag your rear jacks. I think it behooves you to go 430 now. I would highly encourage that, especially if you're peaking. Well, you have to get the max tow up in these high 18s, 19 range. You're going to need the 430. I think if you're under 15, you can split the difference because drivability 373 I think makes more sense. But this 430 is just a towing truck. This truck does nothing else great when it's not fast when you're on low. It's not good on fuel economy. It's a rough riding pig, but it's the 430 matched with this setup is exceptional. And if you watch the other videos, the Ford did outshine on Fresno Pass when you come around that little hairpin and have to get up to 45 the speed limit. The Chevy was all in all the way to the floor and towing 14 and a half. It was all in. It went 45, but the Godzilla actually surpassed that and just ripped back. I had to back off on that. So overall, driving this truck has been very, very, very good. We're hoping that longevity-wise, nobody's coming out with anything crazy in 25 or changing really anything. So, you know, if we run this a little bit longer, we'll be able to put miles on it to see about how long it will last. But again, time will be the actual judge of, is this engine a good engine? But polling wise, it does great. It did really, really good. And it outshines the Chevy in just a few areas. Like I said, having that extra horsepower, having that extra torque. I hear next year they're going to bump the numbers again on this truck. And I think it has well enough power. I don't think they need to bump it, but pretty sweet that they would. And with this heavy of a trailer and all that gear, the truck rode really, really well. And that's to be expected, actually. And but, you know, empty, it's bouncy. But that's to be expected. So at the end of the day, guys, this tow was really good, and we had a lot of barking dogs in the cab and a lot of people, and so I didn't really video because it's just a lot of flat interstate, but it did really good, and I'm really pleased with it. I think it does outshine the L8T in just a few areas, just having that extra grunt. It did really well coming across the Rockies with engine braking and everything like that. I think that, again, it's just one of those things where this rear end in this setup, whether it's a Tremor or just a 430 setup, I think it is a good spot to be in. And again, you know, having some personal reverb from of another person saying they've already went out and towed with the Hemi and that wasn't going to do it for them. That's kind of what I've been saying, but it's good to hear from other people and their experience with it. And I really think that the Chevy and the Ford are the two top dogs when it comes to gassers right now. So I think you just pick your poison and know the limitations of it. I don't think that once you hit the 20, I think it's pushing it for a gasser. I'm not saying it's not possible or it won't do it. I think there are people doing it already. I just think at that point, yeah, you probably want that engine, you know, exhaust brake on the diesel. You probably want the extra torque getting going. But this has been a very good trial run of the last, like I said, about 5,000 miles, maybe a little bit more of strictly towing, putting it out in the heat, putting it everything. And one thing I did know is ever since I switched to full synthetic, engine temps and oil temps have went down. So that's good. Not crazy, but good. And so yeah, I mean, that is my 2 cents after all of these miles running it and kind of pushing it the heaviest I've had so far. It just still didn't stop this truck. I mean, it just keeps on trucking, and I think that's amazing. So as always, guys, I appreciate you guys being here, and we'll catch you on the next one.